Hi, Tracy Baker for Baker Gets Cooking. Today we're going to make a bistro ham and cheese sandwich. This is a great meal to make for breakfast, brunch, lunch, even supper. This is a great weekday meal supper. I think you could probably start this about an hour before you want to eat and have everything on the table in about an hour. So I think it's fast to put together. It's pretty, I think it's impressive. There's a lot of French influences here, which is why it's called a bistro sandwich. And it's just delicious. So we're going to start with our tomato vinaigrette. Now I'm going to make this vinaigrette in my Ninja Bullet type blender. So you will need a blender or a food processor or something like that. Even an immersion blender would work fine for this. So we're going to start with about a quarter cup of tomato. Now, you want to use the best tasting tomato that is available to you. This time of year, it's just late winter, early spring here in Canada. And the best tasting tomatoes that we can get right now are these little grape tomatoes. They taste good pretty much all year round for us. It's great. The regular sized tomatoes still have very little taste, and they're not a good product to use. Later on, when it's summertime here, the tomatoes are going to be great, and we'll pull those right out of the garden and use them to make this vinaigrette. So about a quarter cup tomatoes, just go right in there. I don't bother seeding or chopping them. You can seed them if you want. I don't think it's necessary. And then we're going to put 3 tablespoons of olive oil. A good tasting extra virgin olive oil is what you want, something that's in a dark bottle. This is a President's Choice variety. I really like it. I think it tastes good, and it's very reasonably priced. So 3 tablespoons. Olive oil, okay, and then we need some red wine vinegar. A couple of tablespoons of red wine vinegar. 1, 2, about a tablespoon of honey, and I'm just going to eyeball this. That's about a tablespoon. You can adjust the seasonings a little bit when we blend it up. And then this is an old-fashioned Dijon mustard, so it's a little bit grainy. I like that old-fashioned better than the smooth traditional Dijon, so we need about a teaspoon of Dijon. And a little bit of salt. Now you do need a little bit of salt just to kind of bring out those flavors. You know, I'm going to say that's probably like a quarter teaspoon of salt, a couple of pinches. Okay, so that's going to go on. Into my blender, and I'm going to blend it until it's smooth. There we go. Okay, I think that's pureed enough, and I'm just going to have a little taste just to make sure I've got enough salt in there. It's really good, and I'm making a big mess. I'm going to put this in the fridge while I assemble the rest of the sandwich. Okay, so now we're going to get our bread ready. So I've got 4 slices of French bread, cut about an inch thick. I've brushed olive oil on both sides. Just a light coating will be fine. And I'm going to toast it on both sides under my broiler. You want it lightly toasted, not really charred. You just want to give it a nice kind of toasty flavor without making the bread hard. My bread is out of the broiler. It's nicely toasted, not too crunchy, just nice toasty flavor. So we're going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard on the bottom of that. That's very French influence. Just a little bit. I'm going to leave it off of 1 because I have 1 kid that doesn't care for it. So we'll leave that off. And then I'm just going to lightly spread that. And you know, you don't need very much because it's very full flavored. While I'm assembling this part of the sandwich, I'm bringing a pan of water to the boil so we can poach our eggs. So on top of the mustard, I'm going to put a little bit of deli shaved ham on each slice. And then I'm going to put some, this happens to be Jarlsberg cheese. So Jarlsberg is a Norwegian Swiss style cheese. It's delicious. If you've never had it, please go buy it. It's available in, better delis and that kind of thing. I like it better than Swiss cheese or Gruyere, French Swiss style cheese. I think it tastes better. It's delicious on its own or with some fruit. It's just a really yummy, yummy cheese. Jarlsberg. So I'm just going to put some slices of the cheese on top of the ham. And I've left my broiler on because these are going to go back under the broiler just to melt this lovely Jarlsberg cheese. If your kid doesn't like Jarlsberg, just substitute with cheddar would be fine. Something that melts nice is what you really want here. Okay, so I'm going to wait until my eggs are almost done before I put these under the broiler, because it's a little bit of timing magic here that you need to kind of keep in mind. So I'm just going to set them aside, and I'm going to poach my eggs. Now I've got this little fancy pan here. It's got like 5 little egg cups. And I've got about 1 inch of water in the bottom of my pan. If you didn't have one of these, just, you want to fill your pan with about 2 inches of water, bring it to a simmer, not a rolling boil, just a simmer. In fact, this might be a little bit too high. I'm going to turn that down a bit. So you want to cook eggs slowly. You don't want to really cook them fast, so that's when they get tough. So the slower and more gentler that you can cook them, the nicer in texture that they'll be. They'll be nice and soft and tender. So I've sprayed each cup with a bit of cooking oil, and is that it? I guess so. Okay, now we're going to cook our eggs. So they're not going to take very long, maybe 4 minutes-ish. You want the whites to be cooked through, but the yolk to remain liquidy. So I'm just going to whack that with my knife. Now I'm cooking 4 eggs here because I'm making 4 sandwiches. Obviously you can increase it as you need to, or decrease it, whatever. So without breaking those yolks, we'll put those in the pan. These are lovely farm eggs. They are so delicious. It makes a difference in the taste of your eggs depending on what that chicken has eaten. So whatever my farmer is feeding her eggs, she's doing a good job because they taste delicious. Okay, so I'm going to let those poach over gently simmering water till the whites are done through and the yolks are still tender. It's going to take, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes depending on how hot your water is. My eggs are just about done being poached. I'm going to quickly put the cheese and bread under the broiler again just to melt the cheese. That's only going to take a few minutes. So while that's in the broiler, I can get the salad ready. So on the bottom of your plate, you put a handful of mixed, this is like out of the clamshell packs at the grocery store, just a package of mixed fresh greens. Or use what you grow in your garden. My lettuce isn't quite ready yet. So just a nice handful of the lettuce on the bottom. And then I've got some fresh basil here. This does happen to come out of my I have a little greenhouse, and so I just went out there and picked it. So it's very fresh. And I'm just going to gently just rip those apart. If you cut basil, it sometimes oxidizes and turns black. But if you rip it just like this into kind of, little bits, it doesn't turn black. It doesn't bruise it. And it smells delicious. And then I have some fresh thyme, also out of my garden. So you just take a sprig of thyme like that and just run your fingers down the stem, and all those little leaves will pull off. This is what makes this salad very, very French bistro style. It's the use of all these fresh herbs. The French love to cook with herbs, especially thyme. Thyme grows wild there, so it's available almost all year round for them. And then finally is some chopped chives, also out of my garden. Chives grow everywhere in the world. I live in a very cold part of the world that has a very short growing season, and my chives do beautifully, and they come up almost through the snow. They come up very, very early, so you can start eating them really, really early, which is great when you're craving something fresh to eat. So let me check my poached eggs here. I think they are done, and I bet my bread is done. So I'm just going to put that toasted bread right on top of my lettuce. That goes right on top like that. And then I'm going to take a poached egg, and it's still kind of oozy in the middle. I'll turn those off. You scrape around the edge, and that egg goes right on top, or slides off. Goes right on top of the sandwich like so. And the last thing to put on top is the vinaigrette. And you just need to drizzle a teeny tiny bit over the top. That's a little generous. And that is our beautiful bistro sandwich, ham and cheese bistro sandwich. So I'm going to, where's my fork? Have a taste here. And here. So it's awesome because when you cut into that egg, the yolk mixes with the vinaigrette and the lettuce and the fresh herbs, and it just tastes awesome. So let's have a taste here. Get a little bit of, a little bit of each component. Yum. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Really not that fancy. It looks super fancy, but it's just basic ingredients put together in a certain way. I think this is an awesome dish. I hope your family loves this as much as mine does. I hope you make this. Please watch, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.